This weekend kicks off the NFL playoffs with Wild Card Weekend, and here's a breakdown of the teams that are expected to play and the probability that they'll win. First, the probability overall, and then another probability based on adjusting for the QB a little bit heavier. So if we look at some of this, we can see that QB does matter a bit. In fact, with Baltimore, Tennessee, it moves Baltimore from being a slight underdog to being a slight favorite. But the thing I'm interested in talking about today is actually the Tampa Bay at Washington game. And the reason why I'm interested in talking about this is that this is going to be the first playoff game for Tom Brady where he is not in a New England uniform. And also, as we'll see, a couple of other firsts for Tom Brady as well. But you note that Washington doesn't have a great chance of winning according to these probabilities. But what we want to find out is, hey, how accurate can this prediction really be? And is Washington really in trouble? So I'm going to click on my button here to check out how accurate these predictions have been in the past based on the model that this prediction is based off of. So here we have a breakdown of a number of different things. Taking a look at the overall prediction correctness. And we can see here that it's just about at 2/3 correct over the course of almost 17,000 games. Here we have a breakdown of all the various quarterbacks throughout all the games, going back all the way to about 1950 for the quarterbacks. The games themselves go all the way back to the 1920s. And we can see here what the average adjustment of the prediction is based on the QB and also by the matchup. But let's take a look at Washington's history here. So let's go ahead up the team here and let's select Washington. And what we can see in Washington is a breakdown of their quarterbacks here and their ability to predict. But because this is the playoffs, let's take a look at how accurate this has been at predicting their playoff wins. And so if we look at those playoff wins, we can see, first of all, there's been 43 total games, including the one this weekend, so 42 that have been played, where 23 have been won, which is slightly over 50% win in the playoffs, which is pretty good. And the model here is even more accurate than the model as a whole. It's 71.4%. Let's also actually take a look at this in the context of the Super Bowl era. So type in a global search here, look for Super Bowl era. So in the Super Bowl era, Washington has been to 35, and in this weekend, 36 playoff games and won 20 of them. That's pretty good. Again, 57.1%, slightly higher than their overall, and the correct predictions goes up when we look at that. Now, if we want to look at the accuracy trend for them, we can see that the accuracy trend when adjusting for the QBs for Washington has actually gone down over the years. We can see the trend here that the accuracy is actually a little bit less than the accuracy for the regular trend. So that bodes well that this is going to be a little bit more accurate because the prediction this weekend is that it's a little bit more likely that Washington's going to win when not adjusted for QBs than when adjusted. If we take a look at the table here, we can see the history of the Washington playoff games. We can see who was favored in each game and then who won. And we note that the last time Washington won has been a while. It's been 15 years since Washington last won a playoff game. But cause for optimism, it was against Tampa Bay when Tampa Bay was favored. So that is something that's going to be that could be key. But let's now pivot a little bit and take a look at Tampa Bay, and specifically because this is such a new Tampa Bay team, let's take a look at something that's been pretty consistent in the NFL, which is Tom Brady. So I'm going to remove the couple of things here. We're going to look at Tom Brady and his playoff record. So Tom Brady and his playoff record is pretty good. He has played 42 games, or this weekend will be 42. He's won 30 games, which is a 73.2% win ratio. Pretty darn good in the playoffs, as I think we're all pretty familiar with. This model predicts the correct outcome for Tom Brady in the playoffs slightly less than they do for Washington. So that's also something to be a little bit optimistic about for Washington this weekend. The prediction accuracy for Tom Brady when adjusting for QB has actually, while both have gone down over the years, the trend is that Tom Brady is just slightly, the trend is slightly better than for the correct predictions here. So that's definitely something worth noting. So if we look at the table now for Tom Brady, we see we have a lot of games to draw from here. I think what we need to do is apply a few more filters to get some idea of what's going on here. So first of all, Tom Brady's going to be away. Most of the time, Tom Brady is at home at the playoffs. So what's his history when he's away or the away team? So if we take a look here, we can see here's the history of Tom Brady in the playoffs when he's away. So when he's away, he actually has a slightly lower win percentage, still above 50%. But note that it's not this over 70% like it was before. Also, the prediction goes down as well too. The prediction correction goes down, I should say, or correct predictions go down. So we're looking at Tom Brady here. We can see that when he's away, the prediction goes down. Though this also takes into account games that where he's going to the Super Bowl. So let's actually remove the neutral site option, which gets rid of the Super Bowl win. So now it goes all the way down to 50%. Tom Brady this will be the 9th game he plays where he is the away team, and he's only won 4 of those games. And in fact, 4 of those games, and of those games, we could see when Tom Brady was expected to win. So if we actually look here, we can do a search for the QB adjusted predicted win-loss, and if we look at that, well, now we see that this actually is the very first game that Tom Brady is going to be playing away from home in the playoffs where he is expected to win. So that's something where we don't really have much to draw on for our games. Now, the thing that I think would be interesting to take a look at here, if we go back out, is that the fact that Tom Brady is considered very certain to win this weekend. So we click on very certain, we can see just how correct is this model when Tom Brady is and let's make sure we account for Tom Brady actually winning too. So Tom Brady wins 83.3% of the time when this model predicts that he is very certain to win. And that model is also correct 83.3% of the time, which makes sense. So this right here, I think, is probably one of the biggest things against Washington this weekend. The fact that it is there's a pretty good track record of this model being accurate when they're this certain about Tom Brady winning. That said, there are a few, forgive the phrase, wild card things to consider. The fact that this is Tom Brady's first non-Super Bowl game away from home where he is expected to win. The fact that this is the first wild card game that Tom Brady is ever going to play as the away team. And let's also face the facts. This is the first time Tom Brady is going to be in the playoffs, not in a New England uniform and not with Bill Belichick at the helm as the head coach. So while this model does say that it's likely that, or very certain, in fact, that Tampa Bay is going to win, there's still some cause for optimism for the Washington football team this weekend.